What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Goggins here with another episode of the Clippers Latest, where we talk everything LA Clippers quick, fast, and to the point. Today is August 24th, aka 8/24, aka Mamba Day. Today we celebrate the legacy of Kobe Bryant. Obviously, he wore the numbers 8 and 24 when he played for Los Angeles. And, we just take this day to remember him, the legacy that he left behind. I just want to, send a special thought out to the Bryant family and the family of all the passengers that were on that helicopter that day. That day is still surreal to me, even though it's been 5.5 years now. I remember exactly where I was and how I found out. I was taking a nap and then I woke up to the group chat telling me that Kobe had passed, and I was like, "There's no way." Like, that's not something that like people just troll about, but there's no way that actually happened, right? And then I went and saw that the news was actually true. So I just remember how that affected me. I remember how it affected everybody that loved basketball as much, if not more than me. The entire NBA, it was kind of like on pause. This was before COVID even happened, but it just felt like a stoppage in the NBA world. And it was just so, like I said, surreal at the time. So I wanted to take the time to honor Kobe in saying that, but I also wanted to integrate an interesting fact that I'm not sure if you guys knew. But did you know that Kobe Bryant almost signed with the Clippers? Back in 2004, Kobe Bryant, he almost left the Lakers to join the Clippers. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, bro, he was fed up. After his falling out with Shaq, if you know about that whole dynamic, him and Shaq had, a little period of time where they were not getting along quite well. After that 2004 final, they lost, and there was a lot of tension there. Shaq ultimately ended up going with the Heat, and Kobe stayed. But Kobe seriously considered switching sides. The Clippers, they were ready to hand him the key, full control. Give him everything, spotlight, whatever he asked for. But one call from Jerry West changed everything, and it kept him in that purple and gold. Jerry told Kobe, quote, "Kobe, under no circumstances can you do this. You can't go play with the Clippers. You can't play for that owner. Period." Period. And of course, that owner was none other than Donald Sterling, who was actually banned from the NBA a little over a decade ago for some reasons that I'm not gonna get into today. But I think that Jerry West, who was actually the GM of the Grizzlies at the time, he didn't even have any involvement with the Lakers directly, but he still felt the need to reach out to Kobe about that. So he must have really not wanted Kobe to leave and go play for Donald Sterling. And I don't even know if I can say that I blame him. But it all worked out for the better, I guess. But all of that makes me think, do you think that if that trade were to go through, if Kobe were to end up with the Clippers, do you think that the Clippers would have had the chance to become a dynasty early on? In the way that, not in the way that the Lakers were, because the Lakers have far more history than we do. But Kobe ended up winning 2 more chips in 2009 and 2010. What if that was with the Clippers instead of the Lakers? And what if with that would open the door for Chris Paul to still decide to join the Clippers in 2011? Like, what if that would have happened? If you guys remember, Chris Paul almost signed with the Lakers in 2011. He really wanted to go team up with Kobe, but David Stern was like, "Nah, we're not gonna let that happen. We're not allowing that." But there are a lot of alternative realities that could have come from that, and it would have been interesting. But I guess it all worked out in the end. But imagine Kobe and Chris Paul teamed up together in LA, but with the Clippers. With the Clippers, not the Lakers. Either way, that would have been crazy. But like I said, Kobe solidified his legacy with the Lakers by staying. Chris Paul, he ended up joining the Clippers and becoming one of, the most notable players in franchise history, which actually leads me to my next point. CP3's reunion with the Clippers. He described it as a no-brainer. Fast forward to now, Chris Paul is officially back with the Clippers for the first time since 2017, and in the NBA, a lot has changed in that time. What was that? 8 years ago? Oh my gosh, man. Am I getting old? I'm 22, but I feel old. Like that doesn't feel that crazy long ago. But 8 years? How old was I 8 years ago? No way. I was only 14 going on 15. That means I would have been a sophomore in high school. Yeah. So I was a sophomore in high school the last time that Chris Paul was um, on the Clippers, and now I am a college graduate. Not just graduate, but I also did an additional year for my master's. So it's been a long time since 2017, and a lot has changed since then. So I guess looking back at the bigger picture, I guess it has been a while since then, and a lot has changed. But he's back, and he's here to bring some veteran presence to an already veteran loaded team. But we can take all the veteran experience that we want. Chris Paul makes every team that he's on better, and he's proven that since he started. Well, since he got in the league, really, he made the Hornets better. He made the Clippers better when he arrived. He made Houston better when he arrived, which we'll get to in a second. The Thunder, he made better. The Warriors, he made better. Oh, I skipped one. The Suns, obviously his only title run. So obviously he made them better. The Spurs, he made better. So I'm hoping that trend, continues. We got 50 wins last season, So I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna take the over on 51. You heard it here first. You know what I'm saying? Chris Paul, he may not have a chip, but he knows how to improve in the regular season, and we need that. And we already got guys on the team that have won chips. Kawhi, Brook Lopez, some other guys too. So combining that, we might have something here. We might have something. But he's already, it's, like I said, it's a team full of vets already. But he's ready to make another push for a ring. This is a full circle moment for him. This is the guy that literally started Lob City. And at the end of the day, like, he wanted to come home. Like, I'm pretty sure he said that his kids were obviously they were raised here. They still live here, I think. With him like moving so much, he didn't want to bring them along. Having them, having to move every year, that would be inconvenient for them. So I feel like he enjoys the idea of coming back home to where, not that it all started, but like to where he solidified his legacy as one of the greatest point guards of all time. Everybody remembers the Lob City days. I know I do. But yeah, I think that he adds a lot of depth and stability to this roster. I think that he makes this roster a title contender, just because of the pieces that he has around him. And I don't know. I have high hopes. And like I've talked about in the previous episode, this is the most win now team that like I've seen in a while. This reminds me of that 2004 Lakers squad that I talked about earlier, where I think Karl Malone, Gary Payton, and all of them joined, trying to make that one last push for a run or for a title run. And they got there, but it just didn't work out. Shout out the Pistons. But yeah, man. But with saying that he has a good roster surrounding him, that actually leads me to the next topic, which is that this gives Harden an opportunity to move back to shooting guard. And I think that might need to be something that Ty Lue strongly considers. He might want to run Harden as a true two with CP3 running the point, because that takes some pressure off it takes some pressure off of James. It lets him save some energy for those big scoring nights that we're going to need. But I think that it could really open up a lot of stuff for this offense ultimately. And I know that it'll be tough because you have Harden, Beal, Kawhi. Do you move Batum to the bench? Who plays the four? if we run, let's see, Chris Paul, James Harden, Kawhi, John Collins, Zubac. I feel like that's a solid starting five. But like, is Bradley Beal gonna be on that to like where he ain't taking nothing else? Like he gotta start. Cause I feel like that first lineup that I just listed would be the most productive. And then I don't think that there's anything wrong with having a second unit that includes Beal, Lopez, Derrick Jones Jr., um, and some of our other guys. Like we can figure out the rest. And I'll get to, you know, who I'm about to talk about in a second. But I don't know. I just feel like there's potential there with that lineup. CP3 and Harden have already proven to be dominant as teammates. Like I said, it's been a while. But if we take a quick flashback to 2018, let's go. Let's close your eyes and envision 2018. CP3 handling the offense, Harden in his scoring bag. In Houston, CP3 averaged 15.6 points per game with 8.2 assists. He was an elite floor general. James Harden, when CP3 was running point, 30.4 points per game, 8.8 assists. And oh yeah, he won MVP the first year that CP3 joined the team. It's been a while since then, but I have optimism. I have high optimism, and I think that it could be something. It may not be vintage Harden. They're both a lot older now, so they're not going to be that same duo that they were in Houston in 2018 and 2019. But mind you, that's the team that almost knocked off one of the greatest teams of all time in the Warriors. They were just 27 threes away. That was tragic. But this isn't about the Rockets. But as I was saying, that dynamic has potential. And it may not be the same as it was back then, but that shows what Harden is able to do when the pressure isn't on him to take care of the ball. Like I've talked about, he's been responsible for being the primary ball handler for really the last few seasons of his career. Ever since he left Houston, it's been like that. I mean, he obviously still ran the two in Brooklyn, but that was like a weird time. That was a weird time. Kyrie was playing sometimes. He wasn't. In Philly, he ran the two, alongside Tyrese Maxey, but a lot of the time he was the primary ball handler there. And then in LA, he's had to be the primary ball handler for the most part. Kawhi is not handling the rock. Russ, when he was on the team, he was more of a spark plug off the bench. So James Harden was the primary point guard. But now Chris Paul being here changes everything because, James can still run point if he wants to. It's great to have that option to have several people that can handle the ball, bring the ball up the court. But the pressure's not necessarily on him to do so all the time. And Chris Paul is one of the best facilitators in the game. Actually, one of the best facilitators ever. He's going to find you. And he's going to open up that floor space that's going to allow James Harden to thrive. And really, I don't know. I see a lot of upside to him playing the two. But ultimately, it's up to Ty Lue. Chris Paul might be a bench player. He might lead that second unit. I don't really know. I think that it could be an either or thing. Switch it up. I think that it could be something that people aren't going to really expect on the scout. When teams are scouting, trying to prepare for the next game or whatever, that's not something that you're necessarily going to prepare for because, they may have James at the point, have Bradley Beal in the starting lineup, or they may have Chris Paul at the point. Move Bradley Beal to the bench, and, they have opportunity to shake things up, and I really do see potential there. But while we're on the topic of lead guards, let's talk about our secret weapon for this season. And I'm talking about none other than Ty Washington Jr. Look, don't sleep on Ty. Don't sleep on him, man. He's only 23. I know that he was drafted in what, 2022? This will be his fourth year, I believe. I've been doing math this whole video. I apologize if my math is incorrect, but I believe it's his fourth year. But he's still only 23 years old. He's very young, especially compared to all of his teammates this year. He's very young. He was a former first round pick. Kentucky guard. You know what they say about Kentucky guards. You can't go wrong with them. You know, it may take them a minute to adjust, but there's always potential there. Shea, for example, was a Kentucky guard. He actually started here with the Clippers. We didn't use him right, or we didn't know what we had in store, so we decided to make the push for PG. Shout out Paul George. Shout out PG, man. But all I'll say is that between Shea and PG, one of them has a ring, one of them does not. One of them has an MVP, one of them does not. One of them has a finals MVP, one of them does not. One of them is in their mid-30s. One of them is in their mid-20s. You tell me who won the trade. I'm off that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going back. I'm not going back. We're looking forward. And we're looking forward with Ty Washington Jr. His journey, it's been a little wild, you know. Like I said, he's been in the league for 4 years, but he was drafted by the Rockets, played there a couple seasons, then he went to OKC, bounced around, did this and that. Now he's got a shot with the Clippers. And you know, last season he didn't get too much run. He only averaged a little bit over 3 points per game, a little over an assist per game on 36% shooting, which I know those numbers don't scream, oh, this guy is next up, but you guys got to see the vision though. Y'all got to see the vision though. It doesn't tell the full story. He got a smooth ass floater. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all gotta see it. Y'all go look up Ty Washington Jr. floater. Well, I'm left-handed. You know what I'm saying? Hey, a floater's a nice touch. Obviously, it doesn't matter the aesthetic of, you know, the type of shots that you shoot. It matters if it goes in. But, you know, it's cool to look at. But I think that he has the ability to run an offense. And he's one of those guys that can bring energy off the bench. I remember in Houston, whenever he would get tick, there was a spark off of the bench. You know, you felt his presence on the court. You know, he plays with a lot of energy. He plays with a lot of emotion, which can be a good thing or bad thing. But I feel like because he's surrounded by all of these veteran players, he has a lot of people to look up to. Chris Paul is probably the best point guard that you can get like advice or mentorship from. And I think this will be a really good opportunity for Washington to do so. I'm just saying, Chris Paul, this is going to be his final year. He has to pass the torch to somebody. And that somebody's going to be Ty Washington Jr. Mark my words. It's, like I said, it's Mama Day, 8/24/25. Ty Washington Jr. will be in the rotation by the time the season ends. And he's going to be an important part of our playoff run when we make it and our title run. Period. But, yeah. I think that if Ty Lue gives him the minutes, like in all seriousness, I think that he could turn into a solid backup point guard. Or, you know, like I said, if Chris Paul ends up coming off the bench, that's another guard that, you know, either he could run alongside or it could be a third string guard. There's nothing wrong with having multiple people that can handle the basketball. I think that is very important because we've seen teams that don't really know how to function when they don't have a floor general. I'm talking about the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker, you're a phenomenal basketball player, but you're not winning anything at point guard. Just saying. And now they got Jalen Green over there, which is another former Rocket. We're talking about a lot of former Rockets today. What's going on? Is this the Houston Clippers? I don't know what's going on. But no, you need a point guard on your team, and multiple point guards help. So I think that Ty Washington Jr. He's still young. He still has a lot of time in front of him, and I think that he could make an impact as soon as this season if he's given the opportunity to. That means that he needs to be doing the things off the court. You know, he needs to be in the weight room. You know, getting better. He needs to be first one in the gym, last one out. He needs to show that he wants it, because that's going to translate to what's going to happen on the floor, and that's going to translate to the production there. So I hope that he gets a fair shot, but you guys tell me what you think. Am I overreact, or are my expectations too high for him? Should I calm down a little bit? Am I tweaking? Y'all let me know. But I think that there's potential there. I really do. But y'all let me know y'all thoughts on everything. Tell me if you knew about the Kobe story, about him almost going to the Clippers in 2004. I can assume how most of you guys feel about Chris Paul returning, but, you know, feel free to share your thoughts about that. Let me know if you think that Chris Paul should start alongside James Harden, Kawhi, and hopefully John Collins and Zubats. Or if you think that he should come off the bench and lead that second unit. And then last of all, tell me if you are a Ty Washington believer, because I am. And I think that there's plenty of upside there. But as I say in every video, time is going to tell. The season is fast approaching. We're going to start ramping stuff up. We're going to be active covering all season. I'm excited for it, and I'm excited to have you guys alongside me in the journey. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. If you could subscribe, it would help me out a lot. I would really appreciate it, but I'm not going to force you to. You do what you want to do. I'm just here to advise. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we're going to catch you in the next one. Y'all stay easy.